Manila, Philippines. The beauty of sports lies in its stubborn unpredictability. One moment you're riding high on momentum, and the next, you're scrambling to stay afloat. The only constant thing is change, and it's often this cruel irony that defines an athlete's evolution more than their victories ever could. In individual sports, preparation is everything: discipline, motivation, confidence. You can step onto the court brimming with all three, with past performances fueling belief and the odds stacked in your favor. But sometimes, that still isn't enough. Just ask Eala. Coming off a stirring reversal over number 14 seed Clara Tauson in the opening round of the US Open, the number 75 ranked Filipina looked poised for another breakthrough. She entered the second round with a winning mindset, the momentum of a hard-earned 3-set victory, and the backing of a New York crowd that made her feel like she was playing at home. Her opponent? Christina Buxer, ranked 25 rungs lower and battling stomach issues. Buxer had even admitted feeling unwell during warm-ups of her first-round match and needing to retreat to the locker room before managing a surprisingly breezy 6-2, 6-1 win against Claire Liu. The setup couldn't have been more favorable for Eala. And yet, sports, true to its nature, laughed in the face of logic. While Buxer, recovering from illness, played clean, opportunistic tennis, Eala, in peak form physically, faltered. Her performance was riddled with 21 unforced errors and a disappointing 3 of 9 conversion on breakpoints. And in a match that seemed hers to lose, she did just that. She showed glimpses of her talent, holding serve for a 4-3 lead in the first set, pushing Buxer to the edge, but it wasn't enough. The fight and composure she displayed against Tauson were only shadows here. Buxer seized the momentum, tying the frame with a crushing forehand and an ace, then breaking Eala's serve to close out the set. Set 2 followed a similar script. Eala's hitting errors mounted, and though she clawed back at times, she couldn't capitalize on Buxer's mistakes the way Buxer had capitalized on hers. The match slipped through her fingers, point by point, game by game, until there was nothing left to salvage. Disappointing? Absolutely. But disastrous? Not in the least. Because if there's anything we learn from sports, it's that failure is never the end. Often, it's the beginning of something more. As football legend Vince Lombardi once said, "It's not whether you get knocked down, it's whether you get up." This loss, as painful as it may be now, will be part of the blueprint for the champion Eala is becoming. At just 20 years old, Eala has already achieved what many only dream of, breaking into the main draw of a Grand Slam and earning her first major win. She's beaten players with more experience, more titles, and more name recognition. She's proven that she belongs on this stage. Losses like this one expose the gaps in her game, sure. But they also offer something more valuable: clarity. She'll look back at her missed breakpoints, the mental lapses, the moments where doubt crept in, and she'll address them, one by one. Because champions aren't made by the matches they win. They're forged in the ones they lose, then learn from. And Eala's story? It's still just beginning. She heads next to Sao Paulo with more scars but also more tools in her belt. The resolve to bounce back. The knowledge of what not to do. The hunger to prove this loss was merely a detour on a much longer, greater journey. As Tiger Woods once said, "Don't get bitter, get better." That's the challenge now for Eala, to channel the disappointment not into resentment, but into refinement. Her work ethic, maturity under pressure, and growing familiarity with the demands of the WTA Tour suggest she's more than capable of doing just that. So while this US Open chapter ends in defeat, it also begins a new one, where Eala rises not just to match her potential, but to exceed it. Because the irony of sports isn't just in its heartbreaks, it's in how often those heartbreaks turn into triumphs waiting to happen.